Islam shaped all sorts of disciplines like philosophy and all the thinking. Entrepreneurship was actually an Islamic vocation because all these so-called trade routes and caravans were all actually discovered with the advent of Islam. But why are we not leading? That's a question that maybe we need to rethink about. Because many of us think that leadership is basically a political realm, and we fail to realize that leadership actually is within our own spaces. If we choose to lead, we only focus on religious leadership, and we've only defined religious leadership for those who have attained Islamic science education. We leave it to the sheikhs, we leave it to the ulamas, we leave it to the ustadhas. And we fail to recognize that we are more stronger when we lead within our own spheres of influence and our own spheres of engagement. Where are the engineers? And show me the Muslim Association of Engineers in this country. Where are the teachers? Of course, the teachers will tell you that show me the Muslim Teachers Association here. Where are the Muslim hotel owners? Where are the Muslim financial professionals that are dealing with how do we create and digitize finance? Where are the Muslim nurses? Show me where the Muslim doctors are. And where are the Muslim professionals in all professionals? Show me the Association of Muslim Business People if we claim that the Muslim business community is actually a Ugandan community. Where are the Muslim pediatricians? Show me where they are. Because it's in these professionals that we amass influence, we amass networks, and we eventually reproduce opportunities. So as we reflect on leadership, we need to extend the horizon of leadership, not to look at leadership just within the precincts of the mosque or within our own families. But it's important to recognize that the engineers, the nurses, the financial professionals, the teachers, the Muslim public servants, where is an association that brings together all Muslim civil service or civil servants in this country? Because these professional associations will be at the basis for us to apply the Islamic values in them, but also push the professional development, network among each other, but most importantly, encourage the mentorship and the growth. The world is for those who are leading, it's not for those who are following. As it stands, institutional leadership is not going to be limited to our own small mosques and our own communities. These professional associations in professional disciplines are the ones that will eventually build strong Islamic centers in different areas. And these Islamic centers will be business centers, there will be centers of recreation, and there will be centers of lifelong empowerment and transformation. And I end my quote. So that's something that I crafted when I was actually thinking about this session. So I think the challenge for me is, where are those? We're into the world of technology and people are talking about fintech. Where are the Muslim fintech entrepreneurs that are going to marry Islamic finance or Islamic economics within this kind of realm of opportunities that are growing? People are into tech pay, but where are the opportunities with the doctors? Where are the doctors? Where are the architectures? Where are these associations that are professional associations? That once they get a contract, then you know that there will be something that comes back to the Muslim community. So if we don't for me, that's the focus that I wanted to draw this conversation. And I just want to really, like I said, appreciate those who have got us into this beautiful space. It's my first time here, mashallah, tabarakallah. And I guess you all enjoyed the breakfast as well as I did. So as someone who doesn't have lunch, I enjoyed the breakfast as well. But without time, allow me invite Dr. Mujabi Shafiq. He's actually a lecturer and a researcher at Makerere University Business School. So Dr. Mujabi, if you're around, kindly, let's give him a big round of applause, if you may. And I believe you all will do when I say that we give him a big round of applause. Doctor, you're welcome, and you have 20 minutes. You're welcome. Tafaddal mashkuran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank the Almighty Allah to have enabled us to come here and try to discuss this very noble cause at a time when it is actually long overdue. When I was invited to make this keynote address, all I could think about are the points that Ahmed Haji has actually talked about. And I looked at my life through the realm of Muslim, or what we call Islamic institutions, and I will share my insights. I've been teaching at university level for the last 17 years, and being part of the Muslim Students Associations as a student and as an academic, I've seen a number of issues which require our attention as professionals. Muslim institutions or Islamic institutions have come a long way, and we have not seen any rejuvenation from the way they were started up to the time that they need certain changes to be made. Most of these institutions, be it schools, universities, businesses, started as simple associations whose foundation, whose focus was to preserve spiritual and Islamic knowledge and Islamic identity. And we can be sure that they have done their job in that aspect. If the aspect is spiritual preservation, spiritual knowledge, and dawah, that they have done. They are doing, and we are sure they will keep doing. However, the challenges of the modern world need us to rethink. And not just to rethink, we need to think back and look at the times of the Prophet ﷺ, and we think about how to rejuvenate these institutions. We agree that most of these institutions are led from a spiritual leadership point of view, and all of us know that. We can look at from the public institutions which are completely public, like the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. We'll look at also other public-private partnerships. We'll look at secondary schools which are owned both by private individuals and also owned by government in a way. And then we also look at the many private institutions. We have come a long way from the fact that we used to be called only traders. The history of this country sees many Islamic institutions and Islamic businesses as simple traders. Simple traders who were just in the beginning given still simple issues like preservation of spiritual attributes, like the butchery. You remember when we were told that it's only Muslims who are supposed to do what? To slaughter animals. And this is why you see that there is an exclusive business for what? For Muslims, and those are the butcheries. Alhamdulillah, we've moved out from there, and there are traditional businesses which have come out of that. Car importation and exportation, this is a business completely, almost 90% by Muslims. Metal fabrication, the whole of Katwe and Chisenyi, you can actually look at it and say, this is Islamic business, because that is where we went to, especially when our fathers and grandfathers only pushed us to Quran schools, and they did not push us into secular education. Car importation, construction, real estate, and of recent labor export. And I will talk about a few of those to see where our woes are coming from. Most of the organizations and the institutions in labor export have now, because they are serving not only the Muslim community, they have actually opened themselves up for what? For public scrutiny. And most of the problems which Islamic institutions face have painted a bad picture to the whole of the Islamic what? The Islamic faith. Of recent, what is happening at UMSC has made Muslims a laughing stock, isn't it? And we can no longer shy away from talking about it. And Allah, forgive us. I will make these statements and I will try not to be very much political. we should accept and we should understand that the sheikhs cannot be the people in charge of asset management. They shouldn't be. The sheikhs cannot be in charge of financial management. Spiritual leadership is bent only on trust. But the modern management systems are not about trust, they're about accountability. And this accountability cannot be simply learned from memorizing the Quran. Why? Because we have mainstream standards. We have accounting standards. We have financial standards. And I can assure you, what is most embarrassing that Muslims today, in various capacities in private and public institutions, are managing billions and billions of shillings in assets in other companies. I will tell you, and I will not mention names here, MultiChoice, headed by Muslims, isn't it? You can mention everywhere. Procurement, go to the PPDA and see how many Muslims are making things happen there. Go to Uganda Revenue Authority and you see that the Muslims are there. But we have a problem. If they are our own, we look at them as what? As useless. It is the same way we have grown up in leadership in our homes. I, Dr. Shafiq, when I go to my home, they say, Ka Shafiq Kako. Isn't it? And we are used to that. And maybe, when I actually have to do any professional work in a Muslim organizations, I will not be compensated because I'm what? I'm a Muslim. I should actually do that what? On a voluntary basis. Whereas when I go elsewhere, in a non-Muslim institution, I'm actually what? I'm actually paid. And those are some of the issues why many of our professionals have run away from managing Islamic what? Institutions, because they feel they are not what? Appreciated. So, what is the problem with spiritual leadership? And I will talk about two issues here. Spiritual leadership versus technical what? Technical leadership. This is the time for us to try our level best and bring all professionals together. I appreciate the role that the Uganda Muslim Lawyers Association has done, but we need to understand that if we are going to draft a new constitution for the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, it is not the sheikhs who are going to do that. It is the Muslim lawyers who will do that because they can consistently put into context what the constitution of this country says. You can look at what we've gone through over the last month. We have a new mufti, and another mufti, another injunction, and another injunction, another, and all that. And who is the best to understand this? The public is not aware and doesn't have the faculties of understanding to understand all these legal jargons, except the what? The lawyers. And I think it is long overdue that the Uganda Muslim Lawyers Association can take up the mantle to redraft another UMSC what? Constitution. If they allow. So, and what are some of the problems that we've seen? Number one, individualism and personalization. Whether it is private or public or private-public partnerships for Islamic institutions, what are the problems we've seen? Is that because most of these institutions and organizations and companies were started on an individual voluntary basis, they think that they can carry out all the activities up to the modern day using individualism and what? Personalization, which is not the case. We look at many Islamic institutions where you cannot separate the chairman, the founder, and the financial from the company itself. And that violates all principles of what? Corporate governance. Number two, the professionalism. As we've talked about this, we should understand, we should know, and we should enhance and support professionalism at whatever what? At whatever cost. You cannot manage billions of assets in Muslim assets using a sheikh who has just a what? Competence in what? In Sharia. While we actually drop all the professionals that can understand the transparency, the fairness, and all the technical aspects that comes with what? With managing assets. Number 3, we have a lot of financial management people. And I will specifically talk about banks here, which are in the aspect of finance. Today, everyone is trying to run away from riba, isn't it? But let me tell you, what options do we have? What options do we have? If we don't have the options for Islamic banking, when the sheikhs talk about Islamic banking, all they can talk about is what? Riba, isn't it? But Islamic finance and Islamic banking goes beyond just what? Riba. And the traditional banks that we knew could save us in this situation are not as Islamic as actually we thought. Tell most Muslims where they bank, and they will be safer to say Tropical Bank and Cairo Bank. And all of us know that these are not as Islamic as we actually what? Hope to. But these banks have not taken up the mantle. It's actually the banks which are new and small saving circles which have taken the mantle. And thanks to Hijaz Finance, thanks to Salam Bank. But let me tell you, we have a number of Muslim professionals who have studied in Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and even IU. And they have not taken up the mantle because they've not been called. We feel the embarrassment every day that the people talking about Islamic banking are even non-Muslims, isn't it? And it is an embarrassment when we have all these professionals around us and we have not used them. Because of, in the interest of time, I'll talk about the way forward. What is the way forward? Number 1, research and development. As Muslim professionals, we know that you cannot survive. You cannot survive. Islamic institutions will not survive unless they take a stand in as far as research and development is concerned. We cannot only do research about Hadith and the Quran, isn't it? We need to look into various aspects of life. We need to talk about domestic violence, but from an Islamic perspective. We need to talk about women emancipation, but from the Islamic perspective. And I thank the ladies who have come out to take a lead in as far as trying to destroy all the myths about feminism and women emancipation. And those are the issues that we need to talk about. We need to talk about travel. We need to talk about climate change. I can assure you, we cannot, where the world has reached, we cannot pray that the climate doesn't change, isn't it? We cannot pray about it. We cannot just keep our hands and say, we pray that actually we have more rain. The sheikhs have done that, but we need to take a stand in as far as getting the environmental professionals on on board. We will have to plant trees than actually putting our hands up, isn't it? We need to do that. So we are not going to talk about the lack of Islamic credit, and all we do is to teach about it and not provide solutions. If we fail to provide solutions, even the solutions which will be provided by non-Muslims will not fit into the context of the Islam that we want to have in the next 20 years. Number 2, regional and decentralization of leadership. All of us have done the professionalism, the technical issues. We are only centered in Kampala. And you might actually think that the whole of Islamic leadership has to be in Kampala. You can actually think all Muslims live in Live in Kampala. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Why? Because let me tell you, there are millions and millions of Muslims across the Across in Masaka, in Kabera Maido, in Gulu, and all these need leadership. So if we don't decentralize leadership, the Corporate Muslim Association should do what? Should decentralize and try to go to Gulu. Are we together? And that is one of those things that, for me, should do a lot in as far as leadership and governance is concerned. Number 3, we need field-specific symposiums. Field-specific symposiums. I thank Thurayya. About 2 weeks ago, I was invited to have a talk in a major dars. And I had to tell people that I'm not a sheikh. Because what do they expect? They always expect a what? A sheikh. And all I wanted to talk about is social media addiction. And I'm telling you, not every sheikh can talk about social media what? Addiction. In these major darsus, we cannot go on and all we are talking about are spiritual matters, because remember, we are physical beings, isn't it? We are spiritual beings. We are social beings, and all these aspects of life need to be what? Attacked. In the interest of time, this is my last remark. If we don't try our level best to see that there is transparency, fairness, legislation, processes within which Islamic institutions and organizations work, the future of our children in as far as Islamic, spiritual, and developmental issues is concerned will go down the drain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
2 things that I want to re-echo before we transition to a panel discussion. Thank you very much, Doctor, for that very insightful wake-up call or reawakening, for lack of a better terminology, but it was reawakening indeed. And I want to just mention this reflection. Accountant, financial analysts, doctors, lawyers, architects, scientists, dentists, engineers, construction workers, nurses, authors, journalists, labor export directors who are running companies, academicians, gynecologists, school directors, restaurants and cafes, human resource specialists, counseling professionals. Where are these associations? ICT professionals, fintech professionals, bankers. Where are these Muslim field professional specific associations? Do we even have a database? Where are they? I'm in academics, partially academics. I'm into managed consulting. You'll find me doing so many things. I'm in the community. And I want to state that last week, me and my colleague, Sheikh Mohammed Abdueli, we realized one of our friends came to us and said that Muslims are starting up schools. Literally every Muslim name is becoming a school. Sumaya, Shamila, Nabil. But everyone is starting a dual curriculum school. And most of these schools are in silos. And many of us are pulling our kids from other schools. And these are directors. They have loans. And many of them are looking at these clients, but because we are now inspired by the path to look out for the dunya and the akhir, we are pulling their kids. And most of these schools do not actually meet the basic minimum standards in as far as the Ministry of Education, specifically the Education Standards Agency, are concerned. And many actually are querying the sources of our income, because they were saying that we're looking at your banks accounts. Your bank accounts have 1 billion shillings, and yet these are the traditional schools that have been there for years. The quality of your teaching, the quality of your facilities are wanting. The qualities, you're not even following our curriculum to the dot. Your values, your standards, the hygiene, let's not talk about the hygiene. And they're saying that if you do not organize yourself, we don't even know, first of all, we don't even understand the Islamic theology curriculum. Who are you teaching and what are you teaching? Sheikh Mohammed Abdueli responded, and for me that was leadership. And last week we gathered 20 directors of Muslim dual curriculum private schools, and we now have an association, and I'm happy to say that I'm the general secretary of the association. So and he is the chairman. So and one of the things that we're looking at is we want to. It's one thing to start things, but how do you secure and maintain them, then grow them to the other level? So where are these associations? Education and Media is a transformative agency. Where are the Muslim media agencies? Where are the engineers, Muslim Engineers Association? I don't want to say much and open up a discussion, but I have a very interesting panel. Allow me invite the following to join me on the high end with no order of announcement. I just want to highlight. So Hajat Shamira, she's the managing director and founder of Pivot Pay. So Hajat Shamila, wherever you are, please join us. A big round of applause to Hajat. The little I know about Pivot Pay is, as you know, it's a digital payment platform. That's what I guess. And it has been very instrumental in helping young Ugandan professionals to save, more especially those who are working in the diaspora. That's the little I dug about. Sister Hajat, you're welcome. So I have Engineer Shaban Sengendo. Engineer Shaban Sengendo, he works with peers systems, and he also works with Kisasi College. We all know Kisasi College. For some of us who know Haj Sevagala, Honorable. So, Engineer, you're welcome. Then we have Council Siraj Katantazi. Council, many of us knew Council initially in his teaching role, very active. He has so many students in the room, I guess. But he's the head of commercial department at Senkumba and Company Advocates. A big round of applause to Council Senkumba. Then my last panelist is Dr. Ashraf Mutaguya. He's a lecturer at IUIU. He teaches Islamic law, and he's one of our sheikhs on a regular basis who is very instrumental on issues of Islamic, general Islamic jurisprudence, but he was initially part of Hijaz, and he was doing a lot of work in that particular area. So if you don't mind, please kindly join us. I'm going to request that Dr. Mujabi come back again on the floor. You can join us, and we can use that as an opportunity to interact and take a few notes as well. So it's 11, so I promise, inshallah, to keep this panel in 40 minutes. And then we will also have an interaction in 20 minutes, because we are standing between Jum'ah and other commitments. And like I said, I want to thank everyone who has been part of the thinking and the convening process of this meeting. May Allah reward you. We can't reward you. For us, we are weak human beings. May Allah reward you abundantly, and whoever has invested in this process, and for those who have really come to share their insights. I just want to, you could pick a mic, so kindly pick one mic, Hajat, so the other mic will be roving from the other side. Yeah, you'll remain with a mic. So 2 mics will be used. Okay, you already have a mic? So Hajat, I want to invite you to share your insights, basically the general understanding we had from the contextual presentation. I mean, let's begin from the point of what do you make of Dr. Shafiqi's presentation in 1 minute?
I pray that Allah guides us and gives us the wisdom to discuss openly, honestly, and with the best of intentions, inshallah. What I think about, it's thought-provoking. I think for me that's bottom line. It's thought-provoking. There was a lot of questions, a lot of nuances that I think if we took the time would literally keep us here for an entire week, discussing so many of the questions that he was putting across in his speech. I don't know if I should say this now, Sheikh. Am I allowed to?
What is one thing that stood out for you in his keynote?
I think it's basically that we're stuck between the historical and the spiritual, vis-a-vis the future, and the need for technological leadership and governance. Okay. So maybe before I proceed, I had been asked to prepare something small, so probably it would give more context.
Maybe
after, so then we can.
No, I'll come back to you. So just pass the mic to Dr. Ashraf. Yeah. So, Dr. Ashraf, what do you make of Dr. Mujabi's keynote in a minute?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Mujabi, from the position where I'm as a sheikh, has challenged sheikhs, and he is not convinced. We are suited to guide, given where we are right now, and I think that's a very good challenge. I hope to navigate more of what he actually meant. Personally, I believe it is the society that makes its scholars. If you don't challenge the sheikhs, they cannot stand up the occasion.
Thank you. Good insight. So, pass the mic to Engineer Shaban. What do you make of Dr. Mujabi's keynote?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Now, first allow me to thank Doctor for his very insightful and quite passionate deliverance. What I picked is he is imagining, in his submission, he was trying to imagining the power that lies in the untapped potential of the Muslim Ummah, or of the Ummah, that is only it's not being exploited fully due to the differences in maybe leadership, or due to the differences in people not believing in the partnerships and getting together. So he was trying to open our minds to the fact that there is so much we can do as an ummah, because first of all, in this Uganda alone, we might be the biggest spenders of money, we might be the biggest businessmen, but our presence is not being felt because we do not have something that brings us together. In your opening remarks, you talked of where are the institutions, where are the collaborations, where are the associations, and that is the same feel that I have, because if we did indeed have these things that bring us together, I think would be a powerhouse. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You can just pass the mic to the council, then I'll come back to Hajjat as well. So in a minute, what do you make of the keynote of Dr. Shafiq?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allow me use part of my minute to welcome Amir Ummah, Sheikh Yunus Kamuga. He has joined us. You are most welcome, Sheikh. That said, I listened with a heightened sense of interest. And I think Dr. Mujabi is coming from where we all come from, where we think that there should be a particular person who does this. You question without offering alternatives. So when I looked at today's topic, I asked myself the following questions. How can we seek to sustain real Islamic values in a world of rapid and dramatic changes without holding the modernization and development of contemporary Muslim-managed organizations? That is one. Two, why do we think that we can divorce Islamic principles of leadership and governance from what is referred to as modernity? Three, have we considered the Islamic leadership model? Have we tried to apply it? Is it possible to apply it? Four, have we tried to understand and study alternative Muslim contemporary settings and how they've tried to implement these in their cultures and daily lives? Because we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We know that Islam has gone through a process of transformation from when the Rasul was the leader of the Ummah to the Rashidun Caliphates, to the Umayyads, to the Abbasids, to the golden days when Islam spanned half of the world. When did we lose it? Can we go back and interrogate those aspects and try to integrate them into the contemporary world? And lastly, in this Uganda, at what point do we think that we should take the mantle if we've not taken personal initiative to try to marry our Islamic spiritual beliefs with our acquired worldly skills and competences. To me, I think those is where we should be discussing, and that is where the focus should be. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Good thoughts. So I want to invite Hajat to highlight one of the major things that was discussed in the presentation of Dr. I guess touches on do we even have governance do we even have, first of all, do we have institutions? That's one question. The one thing that is more clear is we don't have clear associations. I want you to guide me whether we have an Muslim Engineers Association. Do we have one? If we don't have these institutions, or if the institutions we have that are spiritual, the key issue is, okay, so for us to have these institutions, how effective should they be? And what are those principles that we need to be aware of as we think about forming these partnerships or these institutions? So I think the mic is yours, so you can use your 2 to 3 minutes to try to...
Can I negotiate for 5, just 5?
I'm actually, because I'm standing between Juma,
I am the
the
only
mic will
woman.
come back. The mic will come back to you.
Rahma towards women. I'm the only female.
Oh, really?
Can I blackmail you on that at least?
I don't think I'm easily...
Come on.
No.
Anyone in support of I? See.
The eyes never have it with me.
Come on. Leadership.
Okay, so inshallah, tafaddal.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very big task for me to summarize this in 3 minutes. I'll try. True, but I'll try, inshallah. So for context, my name is Shamila again. I am founder and currently managing director of Pivot Payments. We are the only, and I will repeat that, we are the only Muslim-founded fintech licensed by Central Bank of Uganda. Only, and I'll say that very painfully, not proudly. We are 180 plus fintechs in Uganda. 27 are licensed.
When you say fintech, what do you mean? Break it
Financial
down
technology. Anything to do with mobile money, anything to do with payments, anything to do with card processing. We're only 27 licensed out of 180 plus, and we're only one Muslim founded, and only 3 female founded. So on both female and Muslim, I'm the only one. That having been said, I want to draw from my experience and address the concerns of leadership and governance. Most people think leadership is holding an office or their name, CEO, MD, head of this, HR, right? Most people think governance is just going around telling people what to do. It goes beyond that. So let's first define what an institution is. Anything that puts people together for a common goal is an institution. We live in a country where you also have an institution for the ladies of the night. That is also an institution, like it or not. Governance basically means the orderly manner, process, and procedure of doing things within an institution. Now, what are the myths that have typically been associated with us as Muslims? One, and for me this is very painful, that's why I said I'll try to summarize, that we are not educated or skilled enough. We have so far shown that that is a myth, very unfounded. So, Mrs. Zabana. 2, that we do not have the mobilization capacity. It's very rare that you'll find us meeting outside of funerals and weddings. 1 out of 10 gatherings is either a wedding or a funeral. Only 1 out of 100 is going to be such a gathering. Therefore, when do we build capacity? The other is that we are not formal enough, and for me, that is where I want to start up. Formalization means what? I hope we understand Luganda, and for the audience at home, I want to sneak in a few words of Luganda. Formalization means ekinchiteke kumutindo oguli acceptable. I want to speak so that someone in Mukono can understand me. Saga kugera zungulungi. Today is where you find someone running a business and they've not registered that business. They do not even have bookkeeping, basic bookkeeping. They do not have audit. They do not have reports. They do not have structures
And so when Islamic Bank came, I saw a lot of people saying, yay, tugenda kufuna sente. But when Salam Bank came, the things that they're going to ask is, first let's look at your governance. When they're asking for governance, the first thing they're going to ask for is formalization. Is your business registered? You can register your business. Do you do bookkeeping? Or we are still with Haja wandiseka sticky note, nakalekera secretary. Omwami ali awo ku reception bamwe mtwala atano. Okay? Are we, in terms of human resource, I want to challenge how many of us here have structurally pivoted towards Islamic ethics and procedures within their businesses? Human resource nebono mugamba nti hire Muslims. They will have to fit within that institution. You do not expect, because you're Muslim, you're going to go and change DFCU, you're going to go and change Centenary Bank. No. How many of us have companies have said, I am going to run this company and I'm going to embed Islamic procedures in this company. And therefore, when you're hiring and you're looking for the skill set, it will only fit that. Bobo ononya omusawo. Bobo ogamba nti okoze eddwaliro. Ononya lawyer first oba ononya musawo. So let us not build hospitals and then start looking for teachers to run that. Within the organization, pivot yourself to have the Islamic finance. I want to challenge educationists. Tusomesa abana zonali mu primary ba tusomesa IRE ne Islam, right? What's the other one? CRA. At that basics, I was taught who their God is, who mine is. Why can't we provoke changing the curriculum to teach Islamic finance at that level, at the very basic? The basics, what is Islamic finance? So that omwana ne wafuluma mu P7, senior 4, senior 6, amanyi Islamic finance, the basics of a contract. Most of us only stop at riba. But wema nkola contract n'omuntu nti ngenda muzimbira kizimbe. Ngenda musalanga ndi musawo. I'm in finance and technology. What are the foundations? What are the foundations of that contract? Fenna abasinga tetubimanyi. What is a contract of sale looking like? We don't all do businesses when we are borrowing, but we are doing businesses with money. Kati tutandikiddewa, Islam ayingiddewa atya. So when we are talking about governance, what are the structures in your institution? They could be there on paper. On paper. But in principle, are they there? Do you have the discipline to say, as an MD, probably you're not even a signatory on the bank account? Do you have the discipline to say that when they call for a meeting, it's at 8 a.m., you will be in the boardroom or in the meeting room at 7:45? Or you are that person who is always permanently going to be 8:15? Do you have the discipline to say, bulina kutoli muddua, bulina kutolwaziza, bulina kutomukyala tazadde, bulina kumwana atuuse leetu kusomera? Are you going to be that person who is saying, this is how I'm running my institution? In terms of governance, what are the basic structures that you should be looking at in your company? Why are we not sustainable? Because we live in what they call a livelihood emergency. What happens after you die? If your company is built on Shamira, have you tested yourself n'ovawonenga bwenvawo emyezi 3 company ene esigalawo oba tekola ki efa? When we are talking about institutional leadership, we should plan for succession. Like he said, people personalize change. Omuntu yamugamba vaako nagamba asijja kuvaako nze nja kulonda ani addako. Kichongo omuntu or you're a trustee. Can we all accept first and foremost that as leaders, we are simply trustees? Trustee kitegeeza okuuma. Bwe abaana obeera mukuza si kyekyo tobeera taata waabwe. So as a leader, the first rule of thumb, you're a trustee. When you're planning, plan for today, plan for tomorrow. Legacy webeerawo nti nga BMK weyavaawo weeri oba tekola ki? Jessa weeri oba teriiwo. Nannyini essomero bw'anaafa director Saapolo Kaggwa weegali amasomero oba tegakola ki? When you look deeper, governance or the systems are already put in. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much, Hajat. I want to give Hajat a big round of applause. And in the audience, we also have House of Zakah individuals or directors here, and they've really pioneered the bit of, I think, tech Zakah or fintech Zakah. So I just want to also applaud them in that particular regard. So I want to move the mic directly to Dr. Mutagubia. I mean, to give us a sense of the Islamic perspective of, more especially the ethic, first of all, is the Islamic dimension of leadership in these issues. Do you feel that, I know you know of a friend who is an engineer. I know that you know the friend I'm talking about. This engineer is a Muslim, and when it comes to his construction sites, they are temporarily musallas. For example, if the workers take a break and pray, and most of these workers will be more ethical and they will not steal the cement. And for me, the bigger question that I kept on asking, that do we have a Muslim engineers association, mechanical or civil or any other forms of association? And the general sense was we don't have one. And then my other question would be that if I go on councillors and others, so, but for me, what are those general ethical dimensions that we need to think about as we think about institutional leadership or leadership, connecting what Hajat was saying and Dr. Mujabi? You're welcome. Kindly use your 2 or 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, that is a very interesting question, Dr. Ahmed. And why it is interesting is that the Islamic State starts with the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who first set up the first institutions of Islam. So it starts with epistemologically, Muslims believe that al-ilmu qala Allah wa qala Rasul. Knowledge starts here. What does Allah say? What does the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? This is how we view knowledge. And of course, later maybe we can elaborate more on that. And it's problematic when most Muslims in Uganda have been nurtured through a secular system that might not subscribe to that kind of religious idealism that is Islamic. And I believe that is going to be a challenge that can sometimes create conflict. Why? Because the sheikh comes from one side and has been nurtured by a different system, and then we have another person who is Muslim and has deep faith and has been nurtured by a different person. But going back to that, the Prophet starts the institutions with what Allah says. And you realize at a certain point, what happened was the Prophet promised the followers something, and then the message delayed, and he did not add. He did not concoct. If he was a false prophet, he would have said something. Allah tested him with that period where Jibril was not coming. And people are waiting. You told us your God is going to do this, and said, and that kind of truthfulness is very important. So everyone that is trying to start up something needs to understand that every institution whose purpose is to elevate Muslims or the Muslim status has to have a Sharia component in it. And when the Prophet says, Al-ulama warathatul anbiya, the heirs to the prophets are what? The scholars. They don't inherit money, but the knowledge. We need to be deliberate while discussing these things. Every institution should comprise a Sharia governance structure to guide us in whatever we do.
When you say a Sharia governance structure, what does that mean?
A body of knowledgeable people in the Islamic law or in Sharia that has the right to supervise and also advise the institutions.
But people will tell you that this is not an Islamic country.
These are Islamic institutions.
Can we talk about Islamic ethics embedded in a profession?
Before you go any further, there is a problem at that level, and I'm glad that you are a student of international law. There is a problem when it comes to that. How do we read the Sharia through the modern state? We have a problem here, and we have Muslims in Uganda who actually believe that we need a Muslim president to be Muslims in Uganda. And they are so angry, probably in some forest, working so hard to establish an Islamic State, because we don't understand how the Islamic international relations work in the modern state. So when we talk about Uganda, we talk about Islamic institutions and Muslim institutions. We are talking about a country that has let this meeting happen. Muslim professionals sitting right in the capital city of this country. You cannot then make a claim that we are not in a Muslim country, so my business cannot be Islamic. And I wish to challenge everyone on that, because no one will enter. And I have counsel here who is an expert in commercial law. There is the law of contract, both in Islam and in law, provides for people to contract upon that which they want. You can't say that I have a contract under Mudaraba, for example, and then the government is like, that is not Islamic finance. You can do your business the way you want to do it, as long as it's on paper. And it's not, of course, contradicting any act or a spurious law. And I think we need guidance here. So I still emphasize that whoever wants to talk about institutionalizing and Islamic institutions has to factor in a structure and policies that are going to ensure Sharia compliance. And when that happens, then we can be able to monitor the Sharia ethics. I will just leave one hadith. If you want to be good as a Muslim and as an institution, at an individual and an institutional level, there is only one hadith, which is in Sahih Bukhari. I think it's the hadith of Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, Ayatul Mu'min, Ayatul Munafiqi, Thalath. How do you spot a hypocrite? So we should stop being hypocrites. How do you spot a hypocrite? What happens? Either, I need to challenge your, because that is the basic hadith. So how do you know a hypocrite? إذا حدث كذب.
When he says it's fault.
When he says he's not actually saying what he's saying, he's not being said. So what he should say is not being said, and he says something else. And second, وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ. There is breach of contract, there is promises that are not real, and then you want to set up a structure. And lastly, what the Prophet said?
The second one is when he promises, he breaks.
Okay. I use the different language to mean that. And the last sign the Prophet said was, إِذَا tumina. Do I need to It feels like the audience already knows the hadith. So I will focus on that. My humble request is that hadith alone, Sheikh Ahmed, should be enough to better our institutions. Say what you mean, promise and fulfill, and trust. Otherwise, there is no trade. The two principles in both Islamic commercial law and commercial law, the conventional, any trade has to have two components. We need to maintain two things. As-sur'ah, speed. We should be fast at transacting, and this is why we should be the best at fintech. And the second thing, al-i'timan. I'timan, those letters in Arabic mean trust. They also mean creditworthiness if you're talking about finance. Now, we should be able to trust you such that we can do business very fast. The moment we spot that there is no trust and there is no speed in what we are doing, we're going to be slow forever. Thank you.
Appreciated. A big round of applause to Sheikh. I entirely agree with you. When we were talking to the school directors, and there were concerns that Olina Gama nti basomesa international curriculum. But then when you go there, it's something different. Kukalango natikako swimming pool, nakugama and school fees, it's 1 million. But when you go there, it's something different. And I think for me, these are very critical concerns. Of course, that's why we thought about having an association. And these are some of the things we can address. And I like the idea that how do we integrate the Sharia compliance within our line of work. And I think for me, that's a good takeaway. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. I see Elias Wanawani. He's very Elias has been doing a lot of work with IIT, International Islamic Thought. For some of us who had an opportunity studying from the other side of the world, there's a lot of experience of how the Muslim Americans were able to start up things like these. When they moved to the US, they started up associations, counselors, and all these, and then eventually moved into fintech, and now technology, and mostly from India, and mostly from one part of India, which is majorly Muslim, and then some of them, the Dr. Haifas came from Iraq and all that. So it's really interesting, and all that was investments of a movement that started in the 1970s. And they even went ahead and started real estate from an Islamic perspective, schools and other things. These are good examples to think about, and Elias actually is one of the major students in our region, and he's with us here. That's the power of networking. So without wasting time, I want to pass the mic to Engineer Shaban. Engineer Shaban, you spoke about collaborations and partnerships. One thing that Dr. Shafiq says that you cannot tell me that Muslim doctors in the whole of this country don't, maybe they have an association, let's assume they do, I know they do. I don't know whether they have an association, lawyers, architects, scientists, dentists, engineers, construction workers, nurses, authors, journalists have one. Labor export, for example, in this country that generates close to $1 billion shillings, $1 billion US dollar, $1 billion in our investment. Literally close to about 60% of these who create jobs for the people abroad are Muslim businesses. I don't know whether they have an association. If they do have an association, whether Muslims have an association, making sure that the Sharia compliance aspect comes in here. And human resource specialists, counseling professionals here. I see my counselor friend here, restaurants and cafes. Halal aspect. We lost the halal economy. So where are we? And talk us through on what are those, why do you think collaborations, partnerships, and the importance of us coming together, what are the other ways we can leverage and take advantage of these opportunities to strengthen ourselves and also make a contribution to our country?
All right, thank you so much. I must say this topic for me, it rubs a very deep part of my heart because I want to believe I am what I am today majorly because of collaborations and partnerships that I have been able to establish along the way. I believe so much in partnerships and collaborations because I believe if we as human beings can develop a central nervous system that can be able to support and encourage each other to be better human beings, I think it is a very important thing for us to have. So when we read this to the Muslim community, I have seen collaborations and partnerships happening all over the world. Yeah, I have read about collaborations when it comes to Islamic banking, Islamic finance. I have seen collaborations, countries coming together, Islamic countries coming together. However, the case in Uganda is a bit different. Like you mentioned, we are as if hesitant to try and collaborate with each other. And I understand there's a lot of limitations that come with this. I understand there's a lot of fears that come with people relating with people and, but I believe if we develop this central nervous system, I think the key word here is a central nervous system because, scientists tell us the central nervous system is the part of the body that literally organizes and controls every part of the body. So if we develop as Muslims, if we are able to develop that sense of feeling, that sense of togetherness, that sense of belonging, that this is my person, this is a fellow Muslim. If we can come together, the challenges that we face as individuals can turn into opportunities. So I look at this as, imagine a beautifully woven cloth with each thread representing a different institution with its independent strength. I don't know, that's the analogy that I'm trying to bring. Imagine a cloth beautifully woven with different threads, but with each thread representing a different institution that is a powerhouse in its own regard. For example, my neighbor over here, Hajjat Shamila, she's in fintech. I am in security systems and technology. And I don't know if you know, but you've been able to give me a job before. I have done some work for her. And I have never met her, to be honest. I have done work for her. I did access controls at Pivot like 2 years ago. I have never met her.
All right,
but imagine if we...
Let's just give it a big round of applause on that.
Yes. I have done access controls for her.
And I just want to say that thank you for supporting her sister as well. And the sister, thank you for also putting the money back into the Ummah as well.
Yes.
So the Ummah needs money, yeah?
The Ummah does need money. Because you see, when we are able to support each other, and I'm relating this to the partnerships, if I had known, I heard about Hajjat Shamila when I was getting the job, but I was getting the job through a third party, yes? So I did not understand, no, that's fine. I did not understand that maybe the relationship, maybe if I had known Hajjat Shamila, and if maybe we had had a conversation or an interaction before, maybe I would have executed the job better than I did, in a way. You know what I mean? No, it's not corruption, but listen, I think doing business, I have come to realize that there is a lot more to do with the personal relationships when we are doing business. There is a lot more to do with personal relationships. The way you do business with someone when you have established an elaborate relationship with someone is a bit different from, someone that you just want to get money from. So I think it's very important for us as Muslims to realize that there is strength in unity, there is strength in partnerships, and all these challenges that we face as individuals can be opportunities. Recently, I got an opportunity that came my way. They wanted us to do solar lighting in Kampala, Entebbe, and then also, the CBD. And in my small capacity, I did not know how I was going to do it because they were saying the financing was going to come through, was going to be recouped through advertising and whatnot. And I was like, where do I start from? This is over 100,000 lights, big project. However, there is a gentleman, a Muslim. He's a managing director at a company called Mad Makan. It's an advertising agency. They do a lot of PR and whatnot. So I was able to talk to him, and interface with him. And I'm like, you're into advertising? How about we do a joint venture? We call it a GV in our business terms. How about we do a joint venture where you bring on the speciality that you bring on when it comes to PR and whatnot. And then me, I am the king when it comes to solar lights and security installations. Let's see how we can brainstorm, bring up knowledge, bring up resources, pull resources together, and see how we can be able to do this business. So I think it's important for us to be able to, as Muslims, because it hurts. It hurts because right now in my circles of friends, I can say we are not so many Muslims that are into business or doing business together. Okay. And this is the young generation.
I'm going to engage you on that.
Yes.
So in your circle of friends, as engineers who are doing lighting or engineers doing tech, engineers doing what?
So it is a mix of so many things.
What does that mean?
We have so many different professionals. We have doctors, we have businessmen, we have plumbers, we have a couple of different professionals.
Association of Muslim Plumbers. Okay, so that's...
We can have an association, but then the point here is that and yesterday actually I was talking to another group of my friends the other day, and then I was telling them, how about every Friday after Asr prayers, why don't we meet for just an hour as Muslim brothers? Because we're always meeting. We're always meeting when we meet with different friends, we meet at restaurants and whatnot. I was like, why don't we get an hour in a week to just sit down and first of all remember Allah, but also see how best can we improve ourselves in the community and how best can we improve and push ourselves, because guys are doing big things and we are slacking behind as Muslims.
Very cool. Thank you very much. A big round of applause to Engineer Sheikh Bendo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So good things actually happening. Graphic designers. I just saw one of the best Muslim graphic designer there working in Adil. Adil, just say salam to people. So where are the Muslim graphic designers who will help us to design things that are a bit better? But key things that you mentioned, if she's the only Muslim women and women fintech that has been certified and approved by the Bank of Uganda, where are the rest of the Muslim women, if they are out there, or where are the rest of the women, if we have to think about them? But critical issues that you highlight, it's the power is in coming together in an orderly way. things that bring you together to fulfill a certain passion or purpose, but being done in an orderly way, and then just to plug in what the Sheikh says, in a Sharia compliant way. In other words, how do you integrate in those aspects? And I think for me, those are critical aspects. I just want to pass the mic to Council first, then the mic will bounce back to Doctor, and then I will have to open up a Q&A and maybe before I get into a Q&A, there's a burning hand that wants to corrupt me, but I will just pretend that I'm not seeing that. But Council, you really have, you have those opening statements in about 3 minutes. Just sanctify your thoughts and see how we can proceed. You're welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to give this a little bit of background and perspective. I am, by training, a physics math teacher. And I did teach, I think, physics and math with excellency. I have a couple of my students here. They can testify to that.
Yeah.
I have lots
Okay, so
of
if you
students
were
here.
once his...
If you ask me to ask them to stand up.
Okay, please,
half
if you
of
don't
this hall
mind,
might
just stand up for recognition and mashallah. Mashallah. So
Okay, I have 3, but I'm sure there are others who don't want to stand up.
Yeah,
I moved from teaching physics and math because I challenged myself to becoming a international certified accountant and an SCCA. I wasn't satisfied with that because I was thinking of how do I build my competence and become helpful to the society and stop lamenting about the problems that keep on hitting at our community. So I then moved from SCCA to do a master's in financial management and majored in financial and taxation. I wasn't still satisfied. I said one more thing to go. At that point, I was bit between going vertically upwards or horizontally. So I decided on remaining horizontal. So I took on law. And when I finished with law, I was almost done until I went into clearing and forwarding. So that is my dimension of the competences that I can bring on table. The reason I wanted to bring this is that I started asking myself that after acquiring all these worldly knowledge and skills and where am I towards my Islamic knowledge? And I have delved into that without acquiring papers. And I want to tell you that the perspective I'm giving today are related to leadership and governance, because that is my niche, but from an Islamic perspective. So when we look at Islamic leadership, these are dimensions that we must be considering. 1, there is what we call the dynamic dimension. Here is for the individual to strive to thrive. I've never interacted with Haji Bakaruba, but I follow you because I take lessons from your journey. That is the dynamic dimension. Then we have the universal dimension, which is to attain farah, fi dunya wal akhirah, because that is the whole essence. We do not only work for this world, but we work for the year after. Then there is the ethical dimension. That is to be righteous in your intentions and in your deeds. Somebody said, we do not operate in an Islamic country. You do not need to operate in an Islamic country for you to apply Islamic principles. In your dealings with the people, in your dealings with society, how do you apply the Islamic principles when you are contracting, when you are dealing with humans, when you are hiring? How do you bring the Islamic perspective into your leadership? That does not need to be at the national level. And then there is the continuity dimension, the fruits of your farah, both within this world and in the year after. Any corporate governance or leadership theory that we must develop must be one that captures organization performance today without undermining your spiritual beliefs. These are the perspectives of governance and leadership from an Islamic perspective. 1, we must look to impart knowledge of management with an integrated approach. There are certain things we can pick from the contemporary world. We know that the theories that were developed by Drucker are recent, very recent. This is a gentleman who developed these theories in the 1960s. And yet, if you read the leading management theories, they are premised on Drucker. But we know there are Islamic leadership theories. Like, for example, the prophetic leadership model is on the principle of the Shura. How do we bring people with different competences and skills such that we have collective decision making? It doesn't appear like it's an individual personalized thing, but it is something that becomes institutional. And we are talking about institutional Islamic leadership and governance. 2, how do we enrich organizational theories with new paradigms of research and publication? And that is the part for me that was really, really very touching when Dr. Mujabi was making his keynote address. How many of us do research? Before I came for this presentation, I actually woke up at 3 because apparently I was out of the country and I knew about this. The organizers of this fora, the key organizers were out of the country and actually were beating about this. I had not made the preparation. But I said I have to wake up early such that when I appear, I don't appear to be speaking from my own ideas, but from ideas that have been developed, researched, and published. So how many of us delve into research before we make presentations? C, or 3, apply these in your management styles and practices with both a spiritual and ethical perspective. And lastly, knowledge, skills, and abilities or competences must be routed, must be grounded in pleasing only Allah. When we are doing these things, we should do them with ikhlas, sincerity, and we should do it taking into account that ours, the core of our belief, is Tawheed. Without Tawheed, you cannot talk about leadership. Without Tawheed, you cannot talk about governance. Ladies and gentlemen, as I give back...
I just want to pause that for now, if in case you have your parting shots.
Okay, my parting shots are these. What are the Islamic value systems? Because every organization will tell you, these are our cores. And to me, these stand out. Amana, leadership is trust, right? Trust that you're going to guide the people that follow you, you're going to protect them, and you're going to treat them with kindness and lenience. 2, we must learn to know that leadership is also delegated authority. Khalifa, isn't it? Because Allah says, I am going to create man as a vicegerent, as a Khalifa, isn't it? So leadership is Khalifa. It is delegated authority. Responsibility, or what is called ihtisab. Sheikh, I'm not very good with Arabic language, but I'm working on that. Finally, it should be ibadah. Whatever you do, it must be ibadah. If you are not doing it for the pleasure of Allah, it is null and void. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. A big round of applause. Well, these are very good insights, but critical issues come through. One is the importance of coming together from the perspective of Islam, and then integrating in those dimensions. And I think for me, as we switch to the audience, one thing that keeps coming back to us is where are these professional communities, or where are these professional associations? Accountants, financial analysts, Muslim doctors, Muslim lawyers, architects, Muslims, former politicians, if they are there, dentists, engineers, construction workers, authors, Muslim campaigners or labor expert academicians. One person was saying that, but we only have one known Gaina. If it's not Nema, then it's someone else. And I'm like, there are many others out there. Yes, someone says, yeah, there are many. And then the other question was, so is there a way that I can just use my phone and just search for them, that if I don't find one, then the other one would say that, my appointment is on, so you can come this time, or you find me here. Where can I find these Muslim Gainas who will say Bismillah and then make me produce a very good Muslim boy or girl? And I'm like, okay. But I just wanted to clearly highlight that where do we find all these people, where do we... And for me, the key issue is, I want to share one example. One example that I want to share is, I don't know how many of you have heard about YSEV? YSEV. So I have, in my bit of other life, consulted, done some work for them. It's a group of people that are in Watoto Church. They started this YSEV, and the last time I checked, YSEV was... I know actually the leader. I didn't consult, but I used to share with the leader. Of course, giving ideas on the sides. But the last time I checked, that they were second to Wazalendo. Wazalendo is the army savings sort of credit. Yeah, they still are. So they have a model where you save for education, you save for marriage, you save for real estate, you save for all these so many things, medical and all that. So if you save, they've constructed villages where they come and buy land, then they plot, then they have their own construction companies, they have their own hardware companies, they have their own plumbers, they have their own schools. For example, one of their signature schools is Victoria's Education Services, that has branches that are spanning. I think there's one in about 11. So those are very critical things too. And I'm asking ourselves that kuntum khayra umma, yani aina umma ya shahna, okay. But anyway, you're welcome. So the audience, the floor is yours. So I will take 2 questions from the audience. Then I have Imam Kasozi online on Zoom. Then I'll also take Imam Kasozi. But I'll start with so there's a power lady on the other side, Hajat in green. Your hand has been spotted. Then there's a gentleman in court there. Then I'll come back here. There are 2 ladies. There's a lady who is smiling there, and then I'll take the counselor. Then I'll go online and touch base with Imam Kasozi. So I hope you're able to spot yourself. So Hajat, the floor is yours. Are you audible enough? Can I have a moving mic? She's audible? I don't trust your audibility until you get... That one is, that's Dr. Anifa? Yes, that one is audible, I know. Yes, you can ask your question from there.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum. I'll restrict to a question. You know, when I allow you to speak, Dr. Anifa, you will give us good things.
For me, my worry is, if we do not have the so-called central nervous system, the think tank, whatever we have discussed will remain here. Why? Because we have discussed such things before. Where is the think tank that can embed all these things? You know? The think tank should, by the way, also be very gender sensitive. We have a problem. Muslim men, start such things and they leave women behind.
Busy. They are busy at home. They are busy.
As we are busy at home, we should be able to do stuff because we have the brains. So for me, that's the only thing I wish comes out of this. But remember, the Muslim women are there and they are so powerful. Let's embrace partnership, collaboration other than competition. Every school comes up and we are just competing. You know, collaboration. That's why our other colleagues, the associations are thriving. I know we have the Muslim Medical Association, but I don't even feel it. They call me to go and speak in the Protestant Muslim Bureau. I've never spoken in the Muslim Bureau. Why? Maybe competition, maybe she's from this side. Let's leave that aside. Come up with our central nervous system, a think tank that will be multifaceted to be able to handle and take actions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A big round of applause. So I want to take this opportunity to recognize Honorable Latif Semagala. Honorable, you are welcome. Honorable was the Wa alaikum assalam. And I think one of the pioneer imams at Parliament that I knew. So we have Haji Mayambala of Security Link. Haji Mayambala of Security Link is the pioneer. Wa alaikum salam. For those, he was the first person who invested in cleaning Kampala, Norema. Yeah, so before the others, he's the first person who brought those vehicles from Norway in cleaning our city and Mulago by then. And now he's also done a lot of work with labor externalization. The first people to take the Muslim imam who was, went viral when he was cleaning the mosque and then eventually became the imam. He's the guy who took that man to Qatar and is now doing a lot of work, and many people. So I want to take the second one. There was a gentleman in the suit, yes, the grey suit, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. My name is Abdul Nasser Segawa. I'm the chairman Zakah at the Jam'iyyat Tabligh Dawa As-Salafiyah. And Alhamdulillah, I'm here with the Amil Ummah, Sheikh Yunus Kamoga. My take is, a lot has been said by the panelists. I'm grateful for everything they've pointed out. It's a pleasure that I'm here for the very first time in this kind of session. And to me, most of the points were amazing. But most of the points were literally pointing at creating institutions that already live by the Sharia, that have the Islamic governance. My question to the panelists is, how about the already pre-existing institutions? The biggest challenge I'm facing is, as Chairman Zakah, in the Jam'iyyat Tabligh Dawa As-Salafiyah, it's already an existing institution that already has ways it's been working. Now here we are with a lot of people being brought onto board, and then we have to change a few things. And to me, I'm realizing our biggest enemy is not even the non-Muslims out there. Our biggest enemies are becoming the very Muslims we are trying to lead. Because everything we are doing that moves us towards change may be good change. People are fighting just because they've been benefiting from systems that are already broken and already work in a certain way. So maybe we should throw more light on this kind of thing. Thank you ever so much.
Much appreciated. I just want to also clarify that we also, just move the mic. Just to highlight that we also have House of Zakah, and they've also done a lot of work. And one of the things that we are realizing as a takeaway is collaboration. So at what point do you work with House of Zakah? They've been here over time. How do you also integrate in technology in Zakah awareness, Zakah distribution, and all these other interesting things? Because the world is dynamic, and these are very good opportunities. So don't move out of this meeting without actually getting to know what they do. And thank you very much for bringing Amil Ummah with you. Much appreciated. Assalamu alaikum.
You're welcome.
Nashkuru. Okay, so let's move the mic to the lady here. I am in charge. I need to balance the gender. Yeah, there's a lady. So okay. So there were two gentlemen. So let's start with that gentleman next to Amir Umar, and then with him, so that when we come back, we don't go back that side. No, there was a gentleman. This gentleman. Oh, Hamza, it's you. No. After you give Ilyas, then I'll finish with you. I didn't know that you're the one, so I kept on saying the gentleman. Please give him first, then you. Then when we come this side, we're almost wrapping up because of time. Yeah, we're wrapping up.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I see the smiles at high table. Thank you for that great work. My name is Chigonya Ilyas Mwanawani. As my brother Haji introduced, I'm a student of knowledge with the IIT, International Institute of Islamic Thought. I have been battling with this program, which is shaping up in these days for some good time. I think we did some work struggles with Shamira, with Haji Katantazi, back in 2016 with the late Muchibi, to see how do we get business of the Muslim community at the stake. The answer from Doctor here has been answered, where she was looking for the central nervous system. You have the central nervous system in the house. We are very lucky that we have now birthed the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Uganda. Since we held the 2008 OIC Trade Conference There are businesses that went on. And from that conference, the IDB in 2009 trained some officials from the Muslim community that in 2010 kick-started the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry Uganda. And from there has been a number of programs at national level and in regional and global. I participated in 2014, 2015, the Talent Mobility Project coordinated by Ministry of East African Community Affairs, MECA. And we had a team of human resource from other organizations of the Association of Engineers, workers, exporters. I think we are around 3 Muslims on that panel. And for me, it pained me to see how do we big up, always to see our team. But I thank the current times that we can gather as we are now.
Finally,
my message is in the nervous system. President Islamic Chamber, Haji Mayambra, please stand up and say salam.
Oh, we have an Islamic Chamber of Commerce in Uganda?
Yes, and that is our president.
Oh, yeah, mashallah, alaikum salam. A big round of applause to Haji Mayambala.
The General Secretary of the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Uganda. The Islamic Chamber of Commerce is an affiliate organization of the private sector arm of the OIC family at Karachi. That is the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Okay, thank you very much. A big round of applause.
Winding one statement, brother.
Elias, I want to be very kind.
Thank you
very much. Much
Please, we just need to house there and tap into the OIC opportunities. Assalamu alaikum.
My apologies for my unfriendly moderation, but we're standing between Juma and but bear with me. Hamza, you utilize a minute and
sorry, okay.
Dr. Hamza.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Thurayya, and thank you, the panelists, for the insightful topics we've shared today. I just want to give you 2 scenarios that arise from the point made by Dr. Hanifa of the nervous system. In 2018, was invited or consulted by the IDB and Central Bank, along with other nationals across the globe, in the Central Bank of Indonesia. There, I found a gentleman who had come to Kampala a year before to conduct Islamic finance consultancies for the government as the Islamic banking was underway. So he asked me, "Are you Ugandan?" Yes, I am. I came to your country, trained close to 30 people, Islamic finance people, they gave him, and 2 were Muslims. And those two, when I examined them, during their breakfast meetings and whatever, they were even not up to the task. They were not even up to the task. They didn't understand anything about it. So he asked, "Do you work in government?" I said, "No, I work for a Zakah institution." "So how do you come here?" So another thing, I highlight another point. In the next 2019, again, at the World Zakat Forum, I sit at the World Zakat Forum as the country representative, and I work with the House of Zakah. And Dr. Namala is a member of board of directors of the House of Zakah. And we made a resolution that Zakah should be made global, should be done this and that technology of fintech should be used as a resolution, like this meeting is going to do. You know, we didn't do anything. We waited for another sitting next year. The United Nations, after 2 months, picked the same resolution, picked the same technical notes we drafted, and established a Zakah agency globally. In their 3rd year, they are collecting $400 million, citing UNICEF and all those things. So I urge this sitting, or this conference, or this workshop, that we need to discuss solutions now. Dr. Mujabi and others have highlighted the problem. We've been in these problems. I've worked for the Islamic institutions for the last 10 years. I've made research. I'm getting my PhD soon. But what the problem is galvanization. You'll meet Hajat, my friend, Princess Chimbugwe. You'll meet Sheikh. You'll meet Council Katantazi. And then they are all self-made people. They've done their business somewhere. They are successful. They are sharing with us. When they step out, there is no any single entity or single association of Muslims who supported them in kind of maybe consumers or buyers of their products or something. But we want to claim them. and the unclaimable because they are self-made. So what we can do as a solution, two strategy, by the way. We can sit down. We use Council Mugabe and the likes in their respective professions. We do what they call a master plan. The Malaysians and the Indonesians, they are copying. I'm going there next month. I've been there. I've even studied their mosque management. You find a mosque having an organogram of a mosque. Imam, deputy imam, finance, whatever. Everything is clear from the mosque level. Here, we use mosques to fight. Flex. You see? And we cannot talk about banking, Islamic banking, whatever, without even solving such solutions. I think, as we have the Muslim Lawyers Association, we can create a think tank, as she has exclaimed, to draw what they call a master plan.
I think point
the,
is taken.
The Christians, just a single.
Point is taken. I am standing between Juma and a very critical activity. Either once that call is made, I will not have any control. Thank you very much, Hamza. A big round of applause to Hamza. Pass the mic to the lady here. When that call is made, in Surah to Juma, either Nudi and Salati, once that call is made, then I don't have control. So, and it's coming to me there. Kindly accept my being tough. Yes, you're welcome, lady.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Nawar Saba Chitiba, and I'm very honored to be here. Nawar Saba Chitiba. I'm standing here as the Lady Vice President and Secretary for Women Affairs on the Muslim Students Association of Uganda.
Mashallah.
I have 2 requests and 1 question, which is also rhetorical. The first request is, we've talked about, I think it was Engineer who mentioned lack of attachment in some sort. But I would like to inform you that in these different Muslim student associations, there is actually a lot of attachment while the students are in the university. It simply fades away when they enter the working class. So my question is, how do we keep that attachment there? Is it because when they leave the university and enter working class, they can't find a community they fit in? So you, the people in the working class, why don't you try to create that community for us who are coming out of university? So that when you come to take us when we reach the level of masters, we're not saying, where were you when I just graduated? I think that's something you need to look at. Secondly, what can we do within our capacity? We've talked about leadership not being about holding an office. I believe it's about sacrifice. There are so many people here. What have you sacrificed to engage the youth? Again, I'm looking at students because they're the ones who are coming out. What have you sacrificed to engage the youth like you've done here? And I'm very happy to be here to engage these youth who are in university to learn about Islamic finance. In Musa, we encourage students to have small businesses. But I don't know much about Islamic finance, but I'm the one encouraging a girl to start up her own liquid soap business, her own bakeries. There are very many bakeries owned by Muslim females. Very, very many. But the question is, they don't know about Islamic finance. How can they engage that knowledge in their small businesses? So it is up to the people up there to get. And then finally...
Finally, I just want to let you off. But thank you very much for representing the students community. Yeah. But thank you very much. Great insights. Okay, so Hajat, you have the final words because I need to balance. I gave many men an opportunity as well.
I'm a counseling psychologist, Marina Ismail. I've just graduated with a master's. First, I want to appreciate and validate everyone here. I've not had anyone validating everyone here. You guys have done an amazing job. Thank you for sharing a collection of beautiful insights. I'm amazed. It's my first time to be part of this, such a setting, and actually I'm so amazed. But I'm one person who asks myself, like her sister, that you have shared this collection, beautiful insights. What are you doing to put these in place? How do we start? The question is, how do we embed a mission from what you have from this inquiring process, what you have shared, what have you started? How do we start? How do we secure, as he said? Are we just sharing these beautiful insights? Why don't we start on them? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Much appreciated. So the mic comes back here. So I want to, okay. Don't corrupt me. Just one word. Yeah, but someone took your space. Because we have 5 minutes to get out of
just
this
a
room.
few seconds, just
I don't want
less
them
than a
to
minute.
charge us more money. We just have to leave the room.
Ahmad.
Yes,
Okay.
I have to be very tough, but you are.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, we are just getting provoked every other day. That is why some of us are coming out from the space that we are supposed to be. You just get provoked, you want to cry, and you have nothing to do. My name is Zaitun Kachama. I'm coming from a counseling point of view, from PAM professional counselors. I just have 2 questions. When you come out and start working as a Muslim, when do Muslims feel they need to pay you? Because I just hear that, Lila, nawe, nkolera Lila. Does Lila mean no payment? That is 1. 2, when do people stop learning? Like, when do you better yourself? Maximum respect to teacher Katantazi. When do you start or stop learning? Because the challenge we have in this community, people have arrived. Like, yamala yo Quran, ye yakoma. Yawasa abachala be babiri, yamala. Yatandika ka business ke, it's like we arrived. Ejana twajikolachi, twajifunada. Lastly, the prophet, our prophet, before he was even given the mission, yavanga komo community, he used to get out and go somewhere and just stay quiet. When do Muslims keep quiet? To sirika kodi. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. So the mic comes here, and Dr. Shafiq here. You had responses. What is that one thing that you want to leave with the group?
Thank you very much. I think all of us have been provoked in very many ways. And as an academic, I will say one thing. And this one thing is, and this is something that has been on my heart for a long time as a researcher. Research, and training. And after research, can you disseminate these findings? At my PhD, I did a study on people who borrow from money lenders in Uganda, and I'm very sure the House of Zakah and other people doing Islamic finance would be very interested in my work. And the kind of language I use there is secular language, but I realized that even while modeling the decision for a person to borrow from a money lender, I have realized that after reading Islamic literature, I realized that all these have been written in the Quran. In most cases, we have the epistemology, and I don't want to use the word epistemology. Yeah, where knowledge comes from.
We academicians want to confuse people. Just say that we be the system where knowledge comes from. You start epistemology, people will run away.
Exactly.
And that's why I don't want to usually flash titles, because people will run.
So secularism, what we call secularism, is actually Islamic science. All these sciences we call science. When you go back to Islamic history, the Muslims were the custodians of knowledge. We are the custodians of science. We are the custodians of mathematics. I happen to work with Shamim, and we do a lot of customer service training, and we do it from an Islamic perspective. If we are going to teach people to do customer service and they are Muslim, we should teach them that customer service is sadaq. It's sadaq. You can look at it from the humanist perspective, from the cultural perspective. So, can we do research? And after doing that research, we do trainings. And what is my take up from here? I'm saying, can we do a Uganda Muslims Research Bureau? Can we do that? To know why people don't pay zakah. And if we have the answer, then we will approach zakah from a different approach. My decision modeling on my PhD, I call these biases. I call these credit attitudes. But let me tell you, if I explain that to a sheikh, he might have a nicer way of putting it in an Islamic perspective. There are a lot of publications people are doing on Islamic finance, but we are not reading. And like Zaitun said, when shall we stop talking and then read? And after reading, we try to bring these trainings to the what? To the Wananchi. Can we go to Chikubo? Can we go to metal fabricators in Katwe and give them a free training? Those we can say lillah, isn't it? Because you cannot really tell them that you are going to pay someone 2 million to start and talk to you about formalizing your business. But can we do that, Lila? But when we get into the people who are making
thank
billions,
you
then
very
they
much.
should pay.
Thank you
very much.
Much appreciated. So can we as academicians, also Muslim academicians, have an association? Yes, we can. Okay, so those are critical issues. So Hajat, the floor.
I'm just going to answer the why and then the how, because we need to go away with resolutions, right? So I'm taking it upon myself to start with the how. Let me start with the why. In Kenya, the SACCO Association is funded by women in kiosks, taxi touts, aba taxi, aba bus, mama mbogas. But today, bagula bizimbe in the different SACCO associations, bagula taxis in numbers. That's the power of numbers. Instead of us fighting amongst each other, imagine if we came together and each one of us raised $10. $10 right? A month. Just 1 million Muslims, or even 500,000 Muslims, you would be funding critical infrastructure development here. Malaysia, Tagabond Fund, started from how they were collecting zakah. Olwalero in Malaysia. Hamza, I'm happy you spoke about Indonesia and Malaysia. When I was doing my research in Malaysia, I realized that begatanga from the grassroots kumzikiti nibasonda sente za zaka. Olwalero they own some of the biggest infrastructure, including banks, including hospitals, including road construction, including schools. When you look at Centenary Bank here in Uganda, it is called Centenary Rural Development. But now, absolutely, from the parishes. Thank you. Now, let me go to the how. Legal. We need to have a majlis that sits the Council of Sharia scholars. He's been asking you the whole day, Baliwa. Have a majlis that sits a council of scholars which disputes, to which disputes from the Ummah can be taken for interpretation or ruling. For example, these might be cases of inheritance. Tufiridwa. But sometimes abantu abali mu inheritance, okugaba emali. There's disputes. Where do we go? Either we go to an individual sheikh or we are going to the conventional courts. What stops us from having a council of Sharia? Number 2, a business advisory board. That is a key place to start.
Islamic business advisory board?
Yes.
Or Muslim business? I think Islamic business advisory board.
Islamic advisory business board that guides individuals and institutions on governance requirements from contracting, dispute resolution, pricing models, compliances such as tax and zakah. Abamu tukola businesses naye tetumanyi compliance waffe. Abamu tetumanyi how to price things. Islamically waliwo ebintu ebikukugira oku overpricing certain things, isn't it? Newe bandagano, there are limits within which we should operate. Naye omuntu akugamba nti naguze hijabu ku $10,000 njitunde $3,000. Wallah, mwenna mukimanya abakyala, right? You will go somewhere, you will see a hijab ku $10,000 naye nga oli waliwo agikuguza ku $3,000.
Najja n'akulega nti ya $3,000.
Ate oluusi gwe n'agikugamba $45,000 oli n'amugamba $3,000 oba $25,000. So who guides us? So there should be an advisory board. Number 3, a business development hub. I belong to so many associations. Yeah, I will keep on saying that. Hub that advises on starting, building, and sustaining a business and how to scale ethically and profitably. Such a hub would be responsible for bridging the gap between different institutions for synergies as a new way of working to achieve faster and bigger results. Bobo otandise business, aja ali mu construction, you are in counseling, mulimu wana abali mu bakery. Lwaki oyagala nti ogule ebintu okuva mu kikuubo? Lwaki tonoonya muntu alina edduuka mu kikuubo n'omugamba be my supplier? If you have a construction company, why must you buy up to the last block? Have your parameters and say, quality wenti gye ntwala. Mujje mu supplying. Naye nammwe abasupplying, stop blackmailing us. Ndi musiraamu yannyimye business n'agiwa omuki omunaswara. But you're not up to par. Haja akugamba njagala bloka yaki ya bomba. Olese bloka ya ttaka.
So you want him to take taka because you're Muslim and leave the other one? Omuntu akugambye njagala cake, chocolate flavor wansi njagala yo vanilla color ya white, njagala ko doleza pink. Omletedde cake efaanana ensawo ya jjajjaawe. She's saying, I'm not paying you, that's not what I ordered. Quality control. Okay? Finally, a health advisory board that would either pronounce on medical procedures, medicine components as to which are suitable for Muslims, as it has recently been discovered. Some medications have been made from alcohol or pork refinements. Some of us tugenda tugula eddagala. Nenga ingredients wallahi sizaffe. I have been to China once. Nga waliwo edduuka etunda ice cream made from pork refinement. Ice cream. There's toothpaste, there's candy.
I actually saw it in the US as well.
Thank you very much. So do we have a medical advisory board? Some medical procedures need to be done strictly by women. Nenga abakazi mwe bali abali qualified. Do we have people to say these procedures should be done? Waliwo obuntu obutono obuli intrusive obukebera.
But let me ask you, Hajat.
Right? Yes.
The question I was making is, I was actually raising, Bagaina abachala jebali.
Let us start with making these boards and having these people. You know, in the USA, you hear people saying, I'm a board certified psychologist. Yes. I'm a board certified.
Approvals.
In LDC, by the way, I'm a lawyer by profession, but I've been in financial technology for 16 years. Right? LDC, you're supposed to be certified. Back course, right? And you renew. And you, chitegeza, ethically, what dayo? Bobo ina chichamcho wakola during the year. They will not renew. Where do we go for board certification? Here. In Kenya, there was someone who had been a lawyer for years and won cases, but who had never gone to law school. You know that case? Yeah. How do we protect people? An education advisory board which can continuously research and monitor the suitability of education. When I say suitability, muchimanyi nti ebisiyaga betuyingidde.
Very true.
Muchimanyi. Do we have a monitoring board to say, we are clients, people, stop thinking you're second-class citizens. Newebanga is Green Hill, Sasula Sent. You have a right to say, we have this body that is going to come in and look at the curriculum if it is suitable. And therefore, if it's not suitable, it can take punitive action, including lawsuits, right? An ICT, for me this is personal, an ICT research and innovation hub kitegeeza okunganya, that works closely with mostly finance institutions to tap into the fourth industrial revolution and advise, project, and steer the Ugandan Ummah to the right usage of technology like social media, financial technology, health technology, regulatory technology. When we speak about technology, there's regulatory technology, RegTech. There's health technology. They are doing minimal intrusion, right? Where are we? Do we have a finance hub? Left, right, and center. Yeah, I think the other week, a young girl, 18 years, is a SIM that does not need a physical phone. It's a hologram, right? She's looking for funding. Tuliwa. These boards should be there. And lastly, establishing a professional data bank. A data bank where CVs, academic papers, research projects are banked. I would like to give an offer. I am in ICT. I will develop that so-called data bank. I will host it. My only problem, how do we know ani banking a CV ntufu? The challenge now will come back to you. Lila, I have part of my team here. Sarah is there. She's my head of credit. Funny enough, he is my consultant Sheikh. Everything we do must go through. So I am saying, get your CV banks. I will give you the system. Lillah.
Okay. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. A big round of applause to Hajat. So, engineer, we are unfortunately running out of time, but just shoot it.
All right.
And pass the mic directly to Dr. Mutagubia.
Yes. First of all, let me appreciate this moment, because it's not every day that we sit down as Muslims and we discuss issues that are directly affecting us. I think it's very important, and I want to thank Thurayya Media, Islam Media, for this platform. It is very, very important. You see communities of non-Muslims, Catholics, arranging themselves thoroughly. Share Centenary Bank, they started saving 200 shillings before it became a bank. So the effort and the organization it takes to move 200 shillings into a multi-billion investment is enormous. Naivida Dalamu organization. It's the very first point I talked about of the central nervous system. If we can develop a feeling for each other's well-being and development, it will be very important for us as the Ummah. Finally, I want to task each one of us here. You know, we've discussed this, and maybe we all know the problems. Maybe we already knew what the problems were. What are we doing about it? What are we doing about it in our small individual capacities as Muslims? If you're an engineer, if you're an employer, if you're an employee, what are you doing that can push the Ummah further? What are you doing in your small capacity that can propel us further? That can bring prosperity in numbers and in unity as us as Muslims. So please, I encourage you and implore you to try as much as possible. Like I've said recently, I gave you guys a scenario. Recently, I was talking to my brothers. We're just about 5 people. I told them, you know what, we've done business, we do all these things, but let us just get 1 hour. Maybe from that 1 hour, we'll be able to do charity programs. Maybe from then, we'll be able to call on sheikhs that are very knowledgeable in different regards. Maybe these sheikhs are going to help us improve our businesses, because maybe the one doing my business is not in the Islamic values. And maybe because I'm just not informed. But now we have the platforms that can give us the opportunities to get to know these people and learn and interface and actually become better Muslims and also better people in the communities. Thank you so much.
I don't know why you are the moderator. Okay.
He was a bit busy, so I actually chose to skip him. Toleta fitina. But tafadhal Sheikh, I'll come back to council. No, really, council and I come a long way, so don't start a fight for us.
Council fight him, not. Okay. Okay. It is amazing that I have very little time to make this case, but I'm going to try to do my best. Our parents defined their generational cause. They saw the problem was in education. They spent over 50 years dealing with that. Right now, we are complaining of the mushrooming many schools. I have a sale, and I hope you will buy. Our generational cause should go business, technology, Sharia. We need to be deliberate at improving our economic status as Muslims. If we launch that as our cause, I believe the next 50 years will be worth it. Should we stay under the circumstances where we are now, getting so angry because we have a new mufti, we are going to lose it. Personally, I made a decision not to participate in that old wrangle. And there is a sheikh mind that keeps triggering me. Like there is something within me. I hope it's not satanic. I hope it is from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. It is ilham. But I will not lie to you. I have thought many times, and I'm still struggling to launch that. Starting a sect as a sheikh, purposely focused on economic growth. I don't care about the fatwas, but I'm thinking about that thing, because if sheikhs do not stand up and you claim there is Islamic anything, we are going to come for you, Bamaseka. And I think, Bamaseka, we have a very big challenge. We need to professionalize this job. Era, now that we are here as professionals, mbadde nsaba kati mwete munkubira simu ya bwerere. Because when you do that, I cannot make research. You make us very busy, and we don't. I mean, how can you expect a decorated scholar agenda addressing all these complexities that we're talking about now. Ngari busy aina avuga pichi ali mukwetola mutuyambe, come with money.
Bagambe.
I have invested time, and thanks to Allah then Shamila, I have been introduced to fintech, I've been to circles, working so hard. If I start speaking coaching and life coaching and psychology, I know Hajat Zaitun will think that sheikh is not in fintech. But all that time invested, this is my advice on that. I will deliver what I have to deliver, insha'Allah, lillah. And you will pay me lillah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bagambe. Twagala Sente. Yes, Council, you really have a minute. And it's non-negotiable, really. Because it's nakuwa za basilamu bagena mu Juma, so
somehow you've decided to pick on me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I have worked with JDS as a volunteer. Jam'iyyat Dawa al-Islamiyya. I knocked on that door. Amil can testify. I provide free legal advice. I have worked with House of Zakah. Lillah, I provide free advice. Why am I saying this? We came here for Islamic leadership and governance. We must not be driven by the profit maximization perspective only. We must also think other ways. I will now come to your question. You asked, when do we get paid? Create value. I have volunteered on CBS. I'm one of the panelists who do Manye Demberio. I want to tell you, out of that free service, the calls I get to do paid work is enormous. I do a program on Spark, Manyamateka. It is free. But from that program, people call me and say, I have this. So create value. The money will follow. Now, I'm speaking as a financial and business consultant. First, create value, and the money will follow. Nobody pays without realizing that what I'm paying for. Shamira here, she has said, I do this. I want to tell you that she has invested. And when she was investing, she developed herself. She elevated herself to a level where she can be called to a platform like this and share her insights. This today is not paid for. I'll give 2 examples. My friend here, Abdu, please stand up. Abdu Abeine is my student and my friend. Is one of the people who has organized this. It was fully paid for.
Allah
by
Akbar.
Private
individuals. Takbir. MashaAllah, may Allah reward you abundantly.
I subscribe to the Salaf madhab. I don't know if you are not doing bid'ah. When you begin bringing takbir.
We were not in any
Al-Haji there.
This is not ihtilaf.
Yeah, thank you very much. So the reason I wanted to bring him out is creating an opportunity for people to start having these conversations. Let us not lament. Let us do something where we can say, I have done my part. Whether people buy it or not is another. The second question you asked was,
lastly, Council,
if you saw shoes. Okay, if you said lastly, let me even leave that one. Because she asked 3 questions. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you earn, sacrifice a portion of it. Sacrifice, do swadaka. Make somebody else's life better. Don't wait for them to go through the gutters like you did for you to feel, you know, this is what I did. Make deliberate, intentional effort to make somebody else's life better. Teach somebody, mentor somebody. When I say make it better, I don't mean give them money. Hold hold their hand, walk them through the ropes, make their lives better. If possible, provide the money. This year, I was with Abaine recently in a trip. When I was in a place, I said, Ya Allah, of all the money I'm making this year, I will sacrifice 20%. My first prayer was that when I go back, my first contract is in dollars. On Wednesday, a contract happened, and it was in dollars. So, make intention to give back to Allah. Because for me, I think when you grow older, you reach a level when you say, all this for what? Because we can amass all we want, but in the end, it will stay here. But what do we put on our akhirah? Ladies and gentlemen, the challenge we have will be to integrate our leadership and management knowledge and styles for better governance, corporate governance, from an Islamic perspective.
What a perfect
then we'll
way
leave this world better. Thank you very
What a
much.
perfect way to end this session.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Sounding political, wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much. A big round of applause to our distinguished personalities. And thank you very much, Dr. Ashraf Mutagubia. Thank you very much, Council Katantazi Siraj. And thank you very much, Engineer Shaban Sengendo. And thank you very much, Hajat Shamila. And thank you very much, Dr. Mugabe. And a big round of applause to my beautiful, amazing audience. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. My apologies for sounding a bit hard. Moderation is not easy. I am not here to buy favors, but I'm here to make friends. My apologies where I had to step on other people's foots. The intention and the niyyah is right. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالِ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. So I would love to say that this comes to a close, but I have 3 more items. One is just to highlight critical issues that have come from this session. The importance of collaboration and partnerships, the importance of having those institutional mechanisms, the different boards that are key that are going to lead us in terms of certification approvals, the importance of creating value, the importance of research and development, the importance of creating a database for professional Muslims, the importance of anchoring leadership and governance systems in the way we do things. How do we bring people together in associations? Critical things that I want to connect with the young lady from the university. When we are at the university, we are together, but once we leave the university, we are the Muslim doctors, where the Muslim lawyers. I know Katantas is very active within the Muslim legal fraternity. Where are the Muslim architects? Can we think about an association of Muslim architects, scientists in so many areas, veterinarily, all sorts of areas? When we're in the universities, they are there, but when they step out of the university, you don't know where they are. Where are the Muslim dentists? Where are the Muslim engineers in so many spaces of engineering? Where are the Muslim construction workers? If I don't, who among those has Engineer Dauda mentored? Can Engineer Dauda show us like 30, or Engineer Rajab Ali show us that they've mentored over 100 upcoming or emerging Muslims? Where are the Muslim nurses? Do they even have an association? Muslim labor export companies that are generating $1 billion in this country, majority Muslims, do they have an association? Muslim academicians. I'm meeting Dr. Mugabe here for the first time. So where are others? Muslim gynecologists. She's talking about getting technology and, how things have changed. You no longer can. So that's the trend of life, and connecting to what, where are the Muslim counseling professionals? Because there's a counseling psychologist here, there are counseling professionals, there are many doing life coaching. Where is your association? That you're there, you speak when it's time for Salah, you just, I know of a Muslim sister, Sharifa Shamila Namtevi, who convenes a very interesting platform like a TED Talk called Muslim Coffee Talk. And I think it's one of the most amazing platforms where Muslim professionals meet and share ideas and network as well. Muslim school directors. I did mention that Sheikh Mohammed Abdueli Abdallah has convened the Muslim directors of Muslim associations of primary schools. Now they have an association, and they're going to really be focusing on things of facilities, standards, hygiene, quality, teaching. because everyone is starting up a school, which is a good thing, but how do we make sure that we add value? And then how do we also make sure that we guard them and have these institutional governance systems and all these other dimensions? I entirely close with the submission and the subscription that we need to define our cause for the future. And I cannot say more than business, economics is key, technology is the trend of life, and critical, I entirely subscribe to the idea of they all need to have a Sharia-centric mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I want to pass the mic to Amir Umar to say a word or two. There's a mic at the back, then the mic will come to Honorable Latif Sebagala. Then I will also invite the convener to close this meeting, and we head to Jum'ah, and we go and meet our obligation as Muslims. Amir, karibuni, you're welcome. Tukwaniza mkadde waffe, tukuwaddeyo eddakiika emu oba bbiri. Then tuwene Elder Honorable Latif Sebagala, Imam, eminent Imam wa Parliament, then Emeritus Imam, mashallah, tabarakallah. Then I will invite Hajj Abdu, mashallah. Tafaddal, Sheikh.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Mutufu ddala, nebaza Allah mpaddeyo obuwangazi. Nentuukako mu kasi akatono kesirabanga, akasi akatalowooza kino nakiri, naye nga akasi kano kalowooza abasiraamu bagenda kukola batya okuva mu kino nakiri. Tekafunika nno, twali badde tuli wano nga twogera birala, nzize kuwuliriza, mpulidde ku 10 bye mwogedde mu Lungereza, bakakasa nti 7 ekyo sibalimba 7 njirina bitono ebimpitako, naye byonna byempulidde binnyongedde maanyi. Kwekyo nze kyendiko, nze ngamba abasiraamu tubeere n'ensonga 3. Esooka education, abasiraamu tuddeyo tusomere ddala. Ekyokubiri unity, ebintu bikolere wamu. Ekyokusatu development, omusiraamu weekulaakulanye, leka kulinda kuwa buwi, leka kubeera abasabiriza. Pointi ez'esatu muzitambuliddemu, neeyongedde amaanyi, ate era nze nja kuba nammwe mu buli ngeri yonna. Tubaagala nnyo nga mmwe abasomyi okutambula nammwe, temutuleka bweru. Tewakyaliwo njawulo ti ono yasoma diini, ono yasoma Lungereza. Tugendere wamu nga bwe tuli, tujja kulaakulana mazima, bwenkanya, asidqu wal amaana wal ikhlaas. Bisatu bijja tuyamba, mazima, bwenkanya, n'okuba nga bye tukola byonna twagala bifunamu byonna, naye enkomerero yabyo twagala Allah yaba atusiima era yaba atusasula. Jazakumullahu khair wa barakallahu fikum. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Honesty, trust and sincerity to Allah. Sheikh and unity. Tafaddal al-Hajj Latif Sebagala, Emeritus Imam, Parliament of the Republic of Uganda.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the interest of time, words are totally inadequate to express my innermost gratitude to the organizers and then to the panelists. My only request that if we could have this kind of workshops at least twice in a year or even after 3 months, inshallah, quarterly workshops of this nature are very, very important. We need a lot to share, and indeed, I appreciate all the efforts that have been made by the organizers and the panelists. May Allah reward you abundantly. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I have a personal question. Are you the father of Engineer Shaban Sengedo? I am in charge here, so I
Yeah, he's my second born.
Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu
And my
khair.
wife is Dr. Anifa Namasing, the mother
Oh,
of
so
Shabbat.
kati mutu wambie barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khair. So I just want to say thank you very much. At this point, allow me invite the convener, Al-Hajj Abdul Adam Baine, who is the founder and the team leader. He's a consultant and he's into Imagine Pharmaceuticals and is the chairman of board of the Imagine Group. And Sheikh, thank you very much for putting this together. May Allah reward you with Jannah. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khair. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I want to leave. Much appreciated. Someone is saying I'm doing well after I'm done, but I'll take it, mashallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Peace and blessings to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I decided to come here today to say something. Just to honor one verse of the Quran that said, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, fama bi ni'mati rabbika fahaddith." When Allah has blessed you with a ni'mah that the Muslims would benefit from, speak about it, so they may learn from it. And may Allah purify our intentions, but the intention is not to show off, but to share the blessing. I would like to say that this function was fully funded by two organizations for which I'm a founder. One is Imagine Pharmaceuticals, and the other one is Aluklad. I say this to tell the Muslims and my brothers out there that majority of you don't know me. We have never met. I am not an important person in this country. Neither am I the wealthiest amongst you. But I have done my first step, and I call upon you to join me. I would like to bring up one particular principle that I studied at my master's level called prototypicality. The word prototypicality means that it is a measure how representative an object is of a category. I'll give you a simple example. When the thieves oba ababbi bwe balonda omukulembeze tebalonda sheikh, balonda mubbi munnaabwe, oba balonda mubabbi be babba nabo ani ku bonna abafaanana bonna bonna, who picks the ideal characteristics of that group. Naye ate baba mulonda, they choose them on their best intentions. Nsinga bwe baba babbi bwe baba basharinga wano anaabo w'amazima mu bo. Yet the institution is founded on theft and unfairness. You cannot achieve that goal because already omukulembeze wamwe mubbi era agenda kupapa eventually. If you know what I'm trying to say here. The best representation of a group is to identify individuals with similar characteristics that can speak to each other. And they must be sure and they must understand that the visions and the goals will be achieved, because at the end of the day, the gist on which they are built will be how the last resolution will be made. So we have invited our brothers and sisters for the following reasons. Is so that they could identify themselves first and foremost in their own categories. I say this in this, that what we are trying to do will not be achieved tomorrow. Let's not be over enthusiastic and ambitious. But our first step is, we have Muslim doctors. Organize yourselves. Muslim teachers, organize yourselves. Because the teachers will be led by teachers. It is impossible that one man can lead all the Muslims in this country, because all different Muslims come from different backgrounds. And we cannot listen to each other. And there is no way we can build trust within a community that is so different. So first and foremost, our goal or our vision is to enhance and build capacity within your unique associations of people with similar characteristics, first and foremost, and build capacity and leadership in those institutions. And once those institutions are ready and steady and relevant in their own communities, then the leaders within those communities can come and found a joint organization in which they can address the problems of the individual organizations and help each other. Lawyers can help other institutions to build their own infrastructure and legal framework. The Association of Business People can help them in learning how to set up business and other structures that can help their business thrive. The tech people can help others build infrastructure on the basis of technology and how to grow. And after that, we can now start to select a leader who leads leaders who lead other institutions, in which we can allow grassroots people, individuals, be able to send their message all the way to the top. Now, it started in a small room of a few people. Invited my mentor and my teacher, Mr. Katantazi, to join us. I invited Thurayya as a media organization to push this. And today the panelists that have joined us will slowly build this agenda. And bi'idhan Rahman, we promise that we will organize this for every 2 months, or we will have something like this. So bi'idhan Rahman, we shall come back to you with the program, but this is not ours. It's to see how we can bring all of you together so we can all own it and slowly advise our Muslim leaders and our Muslim communities. And I would like to mention this before I leave, Sheikh. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was inviting people to challenge the Quran, He told them that if you find something that you find a discrepancy, consult the scholars. Contradiction. Consult the what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet did not refer to the scholars of the spiritual world. He meant the scholars of the ilm of the dunya, because the dunya and everything it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything. The technology is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If He didn't will it, it would be here. Everything of the dunya is ours. So we must acknowledge that the reward of acquisition of knowledge and disseminating it is equally as beneficial as it is for the sheikh, as for the gynecologist and the doctor. You will get the same reward if you exercise your knowledge in all fairness and deliver it in a manner that is Islamic. Allah will reward you as it was a sheikh. So we are all scholars in our own right, and the Islamic jurisprudence recognizes us as scholars that contribute to the Islamic diaspora. So I invite you to bring all your scholarly knowledge for the benefit of Islam. May Allah benefit us all from this day. And I hope, Bid Rahman, you will join us in ensuring that we make this happen. I thank Thurayya. They worked so hard. I was not in the country with Mr. Karantazi, who was somewhere. They worked so hard to make this work. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has given us this step to give us more steps forward so that we can arrive at a successful achieve our vision, be the Rahman. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, the panelists. I am very pleased. Some people, I have been meeting them on the platforms. I kept telling them, bring that lady who I actually met her. The sheikh we have actually interacted before, might not know me. But alhamdulillah, barakallah, jazakallah khairan. May Allah be pleased with you. May Allah accept this day, and may Allah give us the full word for this event. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.